Hey, I'm Chuck, and this is Up Chuck Chops. Thanks for tuning in. We're finally going to do a little work on the old CB900 and see if we can get that back wheel unlocked. Let's jump into it. I think this may be the first opportunity I've had to do any real work in my shop since I cleaned it and reorganized it. Alright, I am here working on the CB900. I've still not ordered a bunch of parts. I'm a little scared of the carburetors because of the way that they are. But like I said, no risk it, no biscuit. And my first order of business, so I can move it around the shop much more easily, is to get this back wheel unlocked. I say locked. It's not locked. I am in neutral, and I can physically turn the wheel, but it is tight. It shouldn't be that hard. I don't know if my back brake operates or not. I do see pretty heavy ridges in the caliper, some critter fuzz. So I don't know exactly what I'm getting into. I suspect it's a brake issue. So I'm going to pull the caliper off and see if my wheel spins a lot easier, because if it's the caliper or the pads hanging up, that should be a order new parts, either rebuild the caliper or replace it. Check the brake lines. Those are probably original, probably pretty old. And if that doesn't free it up, we'll have to further diagnose. So let's go to it. I want to try to get you set up in a spot where you can see what I'm doing, and I can see what I'm doing when I go back and watch this video when I forget where the parts came from. It appears this bolt, this cotter pin, and that bolt need to come out. They are all 12 millimeters. I did not know that. I turned the camera off, went back and forth the toolbox about 6 times, and that's what we did. So we're going to take this caliper off. First things first is you need to see what I'm doing. 1980 CB900. Cotter keys are awesome until they get mangled. I don't know if you can see that. Right there. It's a little mangled. So I'm going to have to flatten it. And one does not realize the difficulty of being their own cameraman. Excuse me, camera person. And also the writer and the editor. Okay, future self. That is the cotter pin. You are setting it by your Brap Star stickers in the stool. I wonder if I spin my stool, set you here. Yeah, maybe that'll work. Oh, golly, that is tight. Got it. And you also underestimate how hard it is to keep your meat paws out of the way of the camera lens. There's the cotter key nut. I think that may be actually called a castle nut. That washer was behind the castle nut. That's what I'm going to call it, because I like how that sounds. If I would have wanted that to stay, it would have came flying off. You can see where that side's grooved, where it's been jammed against that frame part. These are all going in my... I don't know if that needs to spin out. Let's see. This is backwards. It's not threaded backwards, but I'm looking at it backwards. It feels like it needs to spin out. A little tap from the rubber end of my pliers. Oh, beautiful. Sure hope there wasn't a washer on that side. I just lost it. Where'd it go? Where'd you go? I heard it clunk. Now I have to go on a... Ooh, I sent it sailing. There it is. Peek through. I do not see washer stuck there. And I don't see one on the floor, so we'll just say there wasn't one. Okay, back to the task at hand. I'm trying out this microphone. Let me know if you think the sound quality is better. The aggravation quality is higher. What I'm going to do, bolt comes through. Washer is on the left hand side of the bike, on the left hand side of this bracket. The nut, I'm going to thread through. I'm going to drop my cotter pin back through, and I'm going to let it sit on my stool until a later time. Okay, you see what's up. I also tend to use the smallest. Ooh, there. I even curled these. I tend to use 1/4 inch drive when I can, or the smallest ratchet available, or the smallest wrench available, because although I do not look like a real beast, kind of tall and lanky, I'm a fairly stout boy from childhood. Okay, see this? So I use a small wrench, less leverage. Sometimes I have to strain harder, but I tend to break less things. It took many years to learn that. Front. Back. Front is left, back is right. They appear to be exactly the same. So, no real worries about mixing those up. Alright. Ow! Oh, that could have hurt. Okay. There was... That didn't want to go, and then... Holy smokes, there it went. Okay. There's no movement there. The way it looked, set like this. See how gouged that is? Something ain't cool right there. We're going to gently let that hang. That is strange. I wonder where the other brake pad is. Uh-oh, mouse house. There's the other brake pad. It is also very scored. That one came off orientated just like that. Now, here's the kicker. Let's see. Okay, that turns considerably easier. It's still not... It's not loose, but it turns easier. I wonder if there's any fluid in the diff. Maybe we'll check that. But I want to call that a bit of success because caliper did in fact come off. It's going to need new pads anyhow. And it does roll easier. And it might need wheel bearings. I mean, that's a pretty good possibility. You just don't know till you get into it. My real hope is I can roll this around the shop a lot easier. I guess the only way to see if this is going to roll better is to roll it. So, yeah, the brake pads are out. Caliper's hanging loose so it doesn't stress the line. And I'll see if it moves easier. Make sure nothing's in the way. This is considerably more substantial than my last project bike. It is some better. I used to have to strain my guts out to get it to move that much. Okay. And I have absolutely zero front brake. And zero back brake because, you know, I just unhooked it. So let's go back up on the center stand. And we'll check out the... Might need front fork work. We shall see. The big deal for now is to get the battery charged enough to make sure it spins. See if we got sparkles, and then go from there. That'll be another video. I'm not doing that today, but just thinking ahead. There's no sparkles, there's no compression. There's not a lot of reason to go too much farther. At that point, we decide, I'll have to decide how much money I want to throw into this thing and how much money this engine is worth on eBay or Marketplace. And then we may have to adjust what we're going for. It's a lot lighter than the Goldwing, I'll tell you that. We're going to take a little peek at the rear diff. It shouldn't be engaged since the bike is in neutral, but I wonder if there's just a lack of fluid in there. Maybe it's not lubricated real well. Could not find in the book the capacity, so usually on these, I think you fill it up until it's at the bottom edge of this inspection hole. That may be a little dangerous ordeal, but not sure what else to do with it. So we're going to pop that out, see what we got in there. Nice thing about a small shop, I stayed connected to my mic, reached my toolbox, and reached the remote control that was on the workbench on a 3-foot cord. This is a 17 mil socket. Okay. It says use hypoid gear oil above 41 degrees Fahrenheit, SAE 90 below. Okay. It has oil in there. It is quite thick. It smells good. It smells good to me. If I was a betting man, that's about how much should be in there. So, you know, I looked in the book, and you never can find it when you need it. But I'll run across it at some point and mark the page. I just wasn't looking in the right spot. I know somewhere it tells you. I know somewhere on the internets it will tell me. At least I know something's in there. I don't know what kind of knuckle dragger worked on this thing before me, but he's a pretty stout boy. Or perhaps time and oxidation and okay, that's snug. Click, click. Back to my old tricks. Write myself a note with the parts. I need to find a drawer for it. There's their new home. Don't forget you put them there. Alright, that's gonna do it for this little episode. Probably call it removing the brake caliper from a 1980 CB900. Something real flashy. Something real flashy like that. But some guy out there's needing to know how to do that, and he doesn't have access to a book. He can look at that, and I can remember how it came off when the time comes to put it back. That's optimistic thinking. Getting parts is going to be a little slow, so hang with me, and we'll keep this going slow but sure and try to get where we get.